and then you'll see it'll connect up.
So they'll have direct audio. Will they hear me
that's
talking
not
as well?
direct. They're going to hear you talk, and we're on mic now.
Right.
So if you want direct, you got to mute this.
Now.
Yep, 2.
What's going on? I'm gonna edit the name of this stream real quick.
The thumbnail won't be the crab.
Yeah.
It'll still say 12K, but you got to go back. It still has 12,000 on there.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave that.
Okay.
Right.
No worries.
I'm gonna edit this. They can all hear me type.
Yeah. It says save. It's got an M.
Got glasses and I still can't see.
There you go. Then you save it down the bottom right there.
Oh yeah.
And you're good to go. Now that's what they'll see.
Alright, cool. So this is I'm one of Shane's imaginary friends. If you saw the other streams, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Now you can probably sit down if they want to see you, Mark, while you're talking.
No, it's alright. So this is a Randall Satan clone built by Crab amps.
That shows you what they conceive your head right there.
Yeah, sick.
So we've got.
I'm too tall for this frame.
Yep, you are. He's a big unit.
But
Sweet. Little bunny fits in the frame.
Yeah.
I fit in the frame, no worries.
I was stand back, they can see me. If I stand here, my head's cut off. But yeah, this is a Randall Satan clone built by Crab Amps from the Ukraine. 50 watts. He uses a different tube to 6L6. It's called like 6P3S, which is a Soviet analog style tube. It has a little less power, so this thing's putting out about 40 to 42 watts when it's pushed. So eventually I'll get around to putting actual 12AX7s and 6L6s in it. Once I do that, it'll push around 50 to 55 to 60 watts. But it's built directly off the schematic, so Crab Amps are popping off all over YouTube, or people getting all over his Mesa clones and all that kind of stuff. So right now with the depth and presence pretty high. I've got my level not too cranked. Treble's probably about 2.5. Mid is just dialed back. Bass is probably about 2.5. I've got the grind up a little bit, the girth pulled back a little bit. The boost switch is off, so there's like a kill switch, which is a boost. That's turned off. Then you've got an overall tone, and then you've got your level. So there's a lot of components here to make work together. So you've got like your grind and your girth, which is like your high gain and your low gain. Then you've got an overall tone. Then you got your 3-band, then you got your preamp. So there's a lot of components you got to make work together. But right now I'm on the middle switch voicing, which is like the it's kind of like a scooped mids kind of sound. So I'll turn this audio off and put the guitar back on real quick. So that's the middle voicing, and the amp's being boosted with a a high wind Direwolf.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And you got an EQ in the loop too.
Oh yeah, and an EQ in the loop. But no, it sounds good as
You can't toggle that off if you want. You just on off on the.
Yeah, no, I'll leave it on. It sounds mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ibanez Universe 7-string tuned to A flat, just for demo purposes. And
demo for our chat. You just like sound off in the chat. Who's watching?
Oh, there's a bunch of yous. You can talk in the chat. Let us know what you reckon of this Randall Satan clone. I used to own a Satan 120, and I'd say it's pretty bang on. Like the preamp that he's copied is pretty accurate. Obviously, with slightly different tubes, you're not going to get the same amount of kind of headroom and stuff. But it's pretty cool for what it is. It's very light. I think it's about 8 kilos, 8 kilograms. So I don't know what that is in pounds, but it's not too bad. And for what it cost me in Australian, in USD, it'd be roughly about 650 to 700. So I don't think it's a bad amp for what you get. I really don't.
It's only the cost of 2 Fortin pedals.
Yeah, it's the same amount as 2 Fortin pedals in Australia, probably in America
in the US.
too. But yeah,
less than that. Oh yeah, sorry.
This 3-way voicing switch. So that's like the down position is like a lower mids boost, the middle is like a mid scoop, and then up is like an upper mid push. So I really like all the way up and in the middle. I don't necessarily like the down switch too much. It adds a lot of low end that I think almost too much. Like you've got to work to dial it out. So I'll go back to the top because that's where I was when I started.
The EQ adds heaps of low end too.
Yeah. So I'll put the guitar. Alrighty, we're back. I've got to switch audio every time, so yeah. Let me know in the chat what you think of this this Randall Satan clone. You can just see it here. We had to prop it up a little bit because it's got small feet on it, as you can see. So we had to prop it up a little bit just because it was wobbling on the handle of the MI head. Yeah, I'm a Pepsi guy, so I'm gonna have a. Where's the camera? Having a Pepsi Max real quick. I don't know why I turned like that, but whatever. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool amp. So what I'm gonna do, I might dial in the presence just a bit more, a little bit of that, and I might pull the girth back a little bit. So the grind is like a high gain, girth is like your low gain, and then you got your overall gain, and then I'm not using the kill switch boost. It's called kill, but it's not a kill switch. It's a boost. Not using that because we're boosting with a high wind direwolf. Who's this guy?
I'm listening to what it sounded like. So
yeah?
I'll bring this back just a little. So running it through, we can show them this one too. I'll turn that off. Because what you can do too, we'll show them that one. Where's the, sometimes what I'll do, I'll bring the OBS, minimize it. Bring it over to here.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that.
So you can do that, and then what we can do
Share that screen.
So this is the IRs we're running.
Yeah, right.
With this one, and so what you can do with these two, because it was a little bit spiky. I'm listening to it.
Just dial back that high end.
Yeah, a little bit spiky on some of the high end. Now they're getting room mic.
Yeah.
So I just.
Yeah, H-bomb. So it's a Randall Satan clone. So he built it off the Satan 50 schematic. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna move this across over here. So yeah, I've got to turn my audio on the camera on and off every time I want to talk, and then change it back to the audio input so you guys hear the guitar. So yeah, we'll play with the EQ a little bit. I'll do that now, but I'll put the guitar audio back on.
you'll see. Nah.
Did I click the wrong thing?
You gotta click video capture. Turn the eye on and video capture up the very top.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
And then display captures
That's
off.
It will go now.
Alright,
So
cool. I'm learning. I'm learning how to fucking live stream.
Yeah, so what you got to do now is just... You can't really see what's happening here because that screen's so small.
Yeah.
So we've got to go like that and just pull that down a bit.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
Yeah, and then that's...
I'm learning.
That's your thing. And then what you do, if you really want, you put this up the top here and then just click that on.
Yeah, right.
Done.
Okay, cool.
And that's it. And then that's just your...
Oh, yeah, the Angle Rockmaster clone is sick. I've seen a few demos of those. They look awesome. I'm an Angle guy myself. I'm
cutting off your fucking live stream there, the chat.
Randall Orange and Angle is like my jam, so... I saw his YouTube demo of the Rockmaster. It sounded sick. So I'm sure that should be sick when you get it.
And this is my imaginary friend who gave me a Randall Ninja. So...
Oh, yeah.
Here's we've got Robert. Robert's on the live stream too.
Oh, hell yeah.
You can say how's it going. Say hello to America. Okay. Hello America.
Hello, Australia.
You're in America, mate. But yeah, anyway. Well, you're on a phone, mate, you're getting shy or some shit.
Yeah. Alright, well...
I'm watching it at lifetime as well.
It's Inception.
Alright, we'll go back to the guitar and not screwing around. So I've been in one of Shane's live streams before, and because I have tendon damage in my finger, I do my power chords like that with my pinky. So if anyone's wondering why I'm playing weird, it's because there's tendon damage in my hand from something that happened, and so it's more comfy for me to go like this now, rather than like this. It puts a bit of, you can see the way my hand bends, it puts a bit of strain on my tendon that's damaged. So yeah, it's just easier for me to go like that. So if you're wondering why I play weird, that's the reason why. So my hand's not great, but you know, I mostly just play chugs. I'm not I love death metal to listen to. I'm not so much a death metal player like Shane is, but I just like chugging. I just like heavy riffing and chugging, and mostly just playing zeros, like breakdowns, stuff like that. I'm not a lead guy or anything like that. So, but yeah, anyway. Back to the Satan. I'll try and twist a few knobbies and dial it in, and we'll see how we go. Yeah, so that's not far off where I EQ'd it before. So I was twisting them knobs. I think I had it all dialed in almost the same. I changed a couple of things. I think the girth and the grind, I've turned up quite a bit from where it was. The grind was dialed back, but that fattens up the tone quite a lot. So you're getting that low mid and that high mid sort of push. And then I backed off the depth and presence a bit. I might just up them a little more. And I'm still on the first voicing, so I'll try that exact same setting without touching anything back on the mid scoop voice. And then I'll try the bottom of the voicing switch. So it's like a sweep switch. So it just cuts and pushes the mids basically. So that's a pretty common thing on most modern Randalls. You'll have like a sweep switch. So as Shane said, like I gave him the Randall Ninja. I think that's got a sweep switch on it. I have a T2 that's got a sweep switch. I also have a Randall Diablo. And like I said earlier, I used to own a Satan, which I sold to a studio. I still have access to the Satan. If I wanted, I could go and get it. But for what this cost me and to buy the Satan back there was about $1,300 difference. And so it was cheaper for me to just get a clone. This is also, like I said earlier, it's lighter. It's roughly about 7 or 8 kilograms, 50 watts with the Soviet tubes. Well, it's putting out roughly like 40 to 42, I think. But if I change them, the preamp tubes to 12 AX7s, and I put the proper 6L6s in it, I'll get about 55 to 60 watts when it's pushed. So that'll be pretty sick. And yeah, Asylum, it sucks having finger damage, man. I'm glad that people understand. I think a lot of people having damage in their hands is a lot more common than people think. So it doesn't stop me from playing guitar. All I had to do is just rearrange kind of how I do chords and like stuff like that, and power chords mostly. It's more so the stretch that just puts a bit of like tension on my tendon there. So I can do it sometimes, but I prefer to just do it. I prefer to just do it like that with the pinky. It's just a lot more comfortable for me. So, and yeah, H-Bomb, the Diesel clone is sick too. He does good work. Like I think his stuff is point to point. From what I understand, he does build his amp clones off the schematics of the amps, like the official ones that are like online. So having owned a Satan 120, this is quite close. But yeah, we'll go back to the middle sweep voicing, the middle like three-way switch voicing, and I'll give you guys that audio, and then we'll try it in the down position because we haven't done the down position yet. So we'll do that. Just got to keep switching my my mic and my audio here, so bear with me every time I lean forward. I'm giving you guys the direct audio. Alrighty, so we're back. So that was all three positions. So the down position, not really a fan of that mid sweep on there, and but yeah, the middle position was like that super scoop sound you heard. That's like a more death metal tone. But the up position, you're kind of just getting a nice sound, like a nice roll, like kind of rolled off high, but a little high boost. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, the middle voicing and the top voicing are my favorites. The bottom position's not really for me, not really my specific style. But I'm more of a sludge metal guy, so I play in a sludge metal band. So I like that kind of tight, woofy, boomy, kind of dark, thick sound. So I'm not into like super tight, bright, articulate guitar tones. So what I go for is a little bit maybe different or unconventional than most people would want in their metal tones. So, but yeah, I was just looking for something that would get me into that kind of high gain, super saturated tone. Like if you listen to the album Oddfellows Rest by Crowbar, that was done with Randall RGs. They boosted it with metal zones and they just used EMG 81s, and they were just, man, just the way that tone on that album sounds and the way it's mixed and mastered is just such a good tone. Like that's kind of the tone I chase. Like a lot of people, they'll chase like a Dimebag tone or whatever. I really try to emulate Crowbar's tone with the gear that I like. I'm somewhere between, and I love Meshuggah as well. So I like between Crowbar and Meshuggah, somewhere there's a fine line between those two that's like tight, saturated, gainy, but thick as well. That's kind of the tone I like to have. So that's kind of what I go for. So I'll put it back on the middle position, and you guys can hear that scoop sound again, and then I'll go back to the upper position, which is the one I prefer. Yeah, Shane's on the phone at the moment to his mate, who you might have seen earlier if you were here. And yeah, so that was I started on the middle position, the scoop sound, and then I went back to the upper position and the voicing switch. So what I might do is we'll switch over to the Dean, and we'll just try an 81 because 81's more conventional. Most people have it. I don't know how many people are going to have like a Damasio Blaze in their guitar. So obviously try something that's a little more conventional, a little more accessible to most people, something that's preferred by most. So I was going to mute this audio real quick, change over, and then we'll do that with the Dean. Alright, nearly took Shane's Dean out on the fan up here. Forget how tall I am. But, yeah, so we've got the Dean, D, and,
Use a different connection on that one. The Dean's here, like that's straight.
Yeah.
Work, it's alright.
that's alright, should be fine. I'm sure they're not going to care that this lead's hanging out of it.
I normally have a right angle, but that's just
Yeah.
the OCD.
No, that's fair. Alright, so we'll try the 81 with the Satan now.
85.
Oh, 85. It's an 85. You did tell me that. I forgot. That's my bad.
It's a freaking
85 in the bridge, not an
it's a
81.
James Murphy hack.
James Murphy hack. Alright, I'll put this guitar audio back on for you so you can hear the 85 through the Satan. So yeah, like I said, I'm not the best player in the world, but you know, it's about having fun. It's just about the love and appreciation of guitar and amps and tones and sounds and all that stuff. So I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not trying to be no technical player, nothing like that. Like I said before, I like to chug. And that's pretty much it. Like, you know, some of the people that don't like Shane are going, oh, he thinks he's the best, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's not about that. It's just about enjoying what you're doing. It's not a fucking dick measuring contest. So if you love it, it doesn't matter what your skill level is, man. If you like to just play open chugs and riffs and power chords and you're happy doing that, that's all you need to do. You don't need to, you know, shred at 230 BPM and do all this crap, because at the end of the day, no one's going to care. People are going to be more receptive if you're having fun doing what you're doing. No one's going to care about your skill level and what you can and can't do and what gear you do and don't have. Like, so what if Shane's got an amp wall? It's no one's business but Shane's. You know what I mean? All these people talking about Shane going, oh, he doesn't need all that, he can't play, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Like, get a hobby. Like, he's doing something he enjoys. Why don't you go and do something you enjoy instead of wasting your time dunking on Shane just for having a go? You know what I mean? And this bloke that says all this stuff, he knows where we are. He won't say nothing to my face, that's for sure. He won't say nothing to Shane's face. So, if you enjoy it, just keep enjoying it, man. You don't need $10,000 rigs. You don't need all this, all that, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, don't worry about it. If you guys are happy with where you're at, and I'm a big believer in just playing things that you enjoy. Like, I'm not a shredder, I'm not a solo guy, so I'm not going to practice that. I like heavy chugging riffs, so that's what I practice. You know? I don't think Crowbar have a single solo in any of their songs. They just have heavy, down-tuned riffing, and that's the kind of shit I like, so that's the kind of shit I practice. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you guys in the chat can relate. So, let me know how you feel about that. But anyway, we'll get back to riffing out on some of this EMG 85 through the Randall Satan clone. I'm going to dial the girth back just a smidge because it was up quite high. So I'll pull that back just a little, just before 12 o'clock. And I'm on the upper voicing still, so do a little bit more playing through that, and then I'll switch back to the scooped mids position on the sweep switch. Just realised I didn't have that turned on the whole time, my bad. I'm still new to this whole streaming thing, so bear with me. But yeah, I'll give you that EMG 85 and I'll dial the girth back a little bit, so we'll see how we go now. Which tone do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the more scoop sound of the middle, or do you prefer the more sort of high mid when it's in the up position? So there's only two of yous at the moment, but if you're watching, let us know. Let us know which tone you prefer. I like the scoop sound. You do lose a little bit of volume on that middle switch, but you get that super scooped like death metal tone. Like if you were doing death metal, I'd probably use that switch and then just up your level, like your master volume. For me personally, I like that a little bit thicker, so I prefer the upper position of the sweep. And yeah, so I'll dial the girth back. What I might do is this time I'll dial the grind back and then I'll up the girth, and we'll just see how that affects the tone. And then, so the grind, got to dial down to, is that like just below half, and then the girth I'll put just above half. So we'll see how we get on with that, and then let me know which tone you guys prefer. Alright, so now I've dialed the girth, pulled it back just a smidge, and then I've dialed the grind a little bit above half. So we'll see how that goes with the tone, and I'm still on the upper voicing. So yeah, I think you can pull some versatile tones out of it, but like when it comes to the Satan, it's a very stiff, abrasive sounding type of amp. I keep forgetting I'm out of frame because I'm too tall for Shane's room, but it is like a stiff sounding, abrasive sounding amp. Like it sounds sick now, but that's because we're boosting it. We got the EQ going, so those are things to bear in mind if you get one. If you want that more refined sound, you probably will need to do a bit of work. And like me playing it by myself at home without Shane's pedal board, I can still get it sounding great, but that's because I can sit there and I can dial in the EQ the way I want it. So you've got to be really mindful that amps like this that have a lot of preamp controls, they all affect each other. They all work together. And I think, you see YouTubers' videos and they're very like, oh, I didn't like that amp. It sounded like this. The gain was too forward, blah, 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 blah. But it's one of those amps where you've got to really work for it. Kind of like VHT amps. Like, they're super stiff sounding. They're the kind of amp where if you don't play well, that amp will let you know. And you've got to work really hard to dial it in. Because it's an amp that's just made to give you the sound, and then you kind of like, you have to work to get the amp to, I guess, have the voicing you want. Like, it'll project noise, but it won't always sound good, if that makes sense. So I've dialed the girth back and the grind up, and I'm still in the upper voicing position. So I'll try that now, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm not sure what you guys are getting in the room with that girth up and that grind. Sorry, with the grind up and the girth down. I'm getting this kind of nasty upper mid frequency that's kind of woofy. Not really a fan of that. So I'm gonna up the girth and then just a bit more, and then pull the grind back just a smidge, just to fill out that sort of lower mid frequency a little more. I haven't touched the overall gain. The overall gain, I'm happy with where it is. So that doesn't need to be touched. I think I'm in a good spot with the gain. The amp's not feeding back. It's not super noisy or anything. So where I've got the gain, and I've got the gain just above like 12 o'clock. So it's kind of like that. So it's not too bad. But yeah, besides that, apart from the girth and grind, everything is in the same position it was. And I'm still on the upper voicing switch, so I'm on the upper mids. So now that I've dialed that back, I'll go back to the mid scoop sound in the middle position. And then yeah, so I'll play in this middle position with the kind of scoop mid sound, and then I'll go back up to the upper mid sweep, which is my preferred voicing, I think. So, and like I said, every time I lean forward, it's because I'm switching the audio. So bear with me, and I'm probably sure it looks stupid. So yeah, I think it's got a good sound. I really think it's got a good sound. There's a nice sort of honkiness to the mid range now that I've dialed those controls down a little bit. But it's not too much. You know what I mean? It gives it that nice mid range honk, but it's not over the top. At least in the room. So what I'm hearing is really good. So let me know in the chat what you guys think of the tone of that Satan clone. I'm quite happy with it. Maybe I could try dialing the grind up a little bit and pulling the girth back just a smidge. And I'll stay in the upward position. What I might do is I might pull the mids down just a smidge, up the bass just a smidge, and the treble just a smidge. Depth and presence I'll leave in the same spot. And yeah, then we'll try that. I'm preferring how this amp sounds with the EMG85 than I did with the Ibanez Universe with the Damasio in it. Double Dragon, who dis? My name is Shane, and this is a 12,000 subscribers live stream plus a demo of this Randall Satan clone by Crab from the Ukraine. So we're just dialing that in. So yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool amp, and yeah. So we're just testing out some tones, dialing it in, trying the mid frequency switch out, and yeah. So I've dialed it back in, and we'll switch over, and then we'll see how this sounds with the 85.
Yeah, Double Dragon's always on the streams. He's a good sub.
Yeah, no, you're right, Double Dragon. Well, Shane doesn't have these either, so, you know, he doesn't have hand tattoos. But yeah, no, I'm Husey, so you've probably seen me in the in his streams before. I live around the corner. We hang out all the time, me and Shane. So I got this Crab Satan, and he's on a phone call right now. So I'm dialing this in and having a go. Thought I'd bring it around so we can check it out. Because I only just got it. It actually showed up from the Ukraine broken. But I don't think it's the sender's fault. Like the guy that built the amp, he was actually really lovely to deal with. Just Australia Post. They're useless, and this is the third amp I've bought that Australia Post has delivered broken, and the first two were in this country, so I'm not blaming the guy from the Ukraine. He sent me new tubes for free. He was really accommodating, and yeah, I was pretty happy with the result. Like I said earlier, if you missed it, these tubes are not traditional 12AX7 and 6L6. They're like a Soviet version of that with a little less power. So right now the amp's putting out roughly 40 to 42 watts when it's pushed, and about 36 watts clean. But if I replace those tubes, I'll get roughly 55 to 60 watts out of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just dialing it in. So like I said before, this amp's got grind and girth, which is your high gain and low gain frequency. Then you've got a kill switch, which is a boost switch, which we're not using. We're boosting with a high wind direwolf. Then you've got your level. That's your level for the clean channel. You level here, and you got your preamp, so your depth and resonance. Then you've got a 3-way mid sweep voicing switch. Then you've got an overall tone knob. So there's a lot here on this amp that you've got to make work together. And so I was saying that briefly before, like you've got to keep in mind when you get an amp like this, it's very abrasive and very stiff sounding. You've got to really work to make all the components of the amp work together. Otherwise, you're just going to sound super muffled or super fizzy. But yeah, it's a cool amp. It's a really cool amp. Like I said, it cost me, the Australian equivalent would have been roughly about 650 to 700 USD. So I don't think it's bad for what it is. Obviously, that part of the world, and there's a war going on and all that stuff, he's got to use what's accessible to him, so that's why the tubes are slightly different. So he's using analog Soviet tubes. And yeah, so we'll keep dialing it in. What I might do, I might pull that girth down, up the grind just a smidge more. Similar to how I had it at the very start, but a little bit higher than that. And then I'm still in the upper voicing, the upper switch, so the bottom position is like a low mid push, but I think it's too much. It gets very woofy. And because I'm the type of guy that I like the saturation from the amp, so I usually like to run my gain quite high and then boost it and clean it up a little bit. But yeah, so this middle voicing is like a really scooped mid sound, so that's like more of a death metal sound, which is sick. And then on top of that, then you've got the upper voicing switch, which is like a little bit of an upper mid push. At least that's what I hear. I don't know if that's actually what it is on the schematic, but what I hear are those frequencies in the room. So I prefer the upper position, and if I was going to be playing death metal, definitely this middle position. So I'll leave it in the middle position. I've dialed the girth and grind slightly differently, and then I'll give you that audio again. So yeah, that was the mid scoop switch, or like the mid switch in the middle, which give you the scoop sound. Shane's watching in the lounge room while I'm in the other room streaming here. So yeah, I'll go back to the upper position on the switch, which is what I prefer personally. And I'll give you that tone, and then might try and dial in that gain section a little more. But overall, it sounds sick. I'm quite happy with it. And yeah, H-Bomb's right. It would cut through a mix. It would definitely. I'm keen to use this live. For those in Australia, I play in a band, so about a month from now we got a gig, kind of local to me. So I'm definitely going to be using this at a gig for the first time then, and I'm quite keen to try it. Yeah, I wanted that. One of Dun's imaginary friends, because certain people named Mark reckon he's got no friends, but what am I doing here? But anyway, we'll go back to that upper switch. So yeah, I much prefer the switch in the upper position. I think it just fills out the sound a lot more. It's a lot nicer. You're not getting too many of them harsh frequencies going on. But what I'll do now, I might even pull the girth back just a little more and then up the grind. I'll leave the gain, the normal gain, where it is. But what I might do is I'll up the mids, up the bass, and up the treble just a little smidge on each one. Just to thicken up the sound a tiny bit, and then with the girth pulled back, it'll suck some of that sort of lower mid frequency out. But I'll stay on the upper position because that's my preferred voicing of the switch. And then I'll give you guys how that sounds right now. Shane wants me to give you some flanger, so no, I'm gonna let him know. I've got some flanger incoming. There you go, a little bit of flanger action. But yeah, no, Double Dragon, you're right. So Crab are from the Ukraine, and they're getting pretty hyped now because he built some Mesa Mark II C+ clones, and everyone's jumping all over him now. But yeah, it's always a gamble whenever you buy anything online, realistically. Like, you always see YouTube videos, I showed up like this and blah, blah, blah. So unfortunately, mine showed up with all the tubes smashed. But I have a friend who lives about 30 minutes away from me, and he had Crab build him a Fryette Deliverance 2 clone. It showed up mint, perfect, no issues. So it's just a gamble, especially with, you know, your postage handler. So Australia Post here are pretty useless, but I've heard, you know, heard and seen things online about UPS as well. So, you know, it's always a gamble. If somebody's having a bad day and they're handling your amp, they'll just throw it around. I've seen it happen. This is the third, like I said, this is the third amp that's shown up broken. But the first two I bought within Australia, so I know it's our postage system. Unfortunately, this amp was not insured, but like I said earlier, he sent me new tubes out of his own pocket for free, so that was really, really, really kind of him to do that. He didn't have to do that, but he said, I want to look after my customers. So I do appreciate that he went out of his way to do that for me. Because you can imagine tubes aren't cheap, and especially in AUD, like, you know, our Australian dollar is not very good right now. I think it's buying roughly 60 cents USD, like, to the dollar. So I ordered this back, I think the start of November in 2024. Took roughly 6 weeks to build it, I think 4 to 6 weeks, and then shipping was about 3.5 weeks, but then, yeah, unfortunately it showed up broken, so I had to take it in to get repaired. I wanted the sockets inspected because the pins that were on the tube had actually broken off in the socket, and I wanted to make sure they weren't damaged. So I took it to a professional. Once the replacement tubes he gave me came, and they were good, and it's working, it's ripping, it's pretty awesome for what it is. And yeah, like I said, it only weighs about 7 or 8 kilos, so it's a perfect live amp. It's got enough power, it's light, sounds good. Obviously the weight is because he uses toroidal transformers, I believe that's how you say it, instead of, you know, the big boxy ones that add weight to your amp. So that's how he keeps that down. I think toroidals are known for a bit more noise, but they're also known for like a cleaner signal. So yeah, not too bad. But yeah, I'm gonna dial the girth up just a smidge, and then the grind. I might leave the grind where it is, and then I'll stay in the upper voicing position, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, so that was the grind dialed up and the girth dialed back just a little bit, and I'm on the upper mid switch, so I'm pretty happy with where everything is now. I think we got it dialed in really, really good. So it's nice, it's crispy, it's thick and it's got this woofiness to it, but it's not too woofy where you're like, oh, I need to dial that frequency out, it's gonna annoy me. But yeah, I agree with you guys. It's amazing what gear's around these days. The fact that you can get a 50-watt tube amp that weighs less than 10 kilograms is crazy, because the lunchbox amp thing's been around for a while, but they were always like 15-20 watts. But and a lot of them had like 6v6 tubes that only put out like 16 watts or 22 watts when they're pushed. So when you get an amp like this, it's 50. Well, like I said, it's putting out roughly about 42 watts, which is plenty of volume to gig, especially, I'm just in a local band, I'm not touring or playing stadiums or anything like that. So enough to fill out the venues that my band plays. And we have 2 guitarists, so obviously there's going to be another guitar amp there. So our sound will be filled out with this. But the fact that it's light, it's small, it's powerful, it's really, really good, especially boosted with the high wind direwolf like we're doing with the EQ going. And it's just a nice sculpted tone. It's thick, but it's nasty. Like it's a sick amp. Yeah, I'm really digging it. And we can try the clean channel on it. We haven't done that yet, but I don't usually use cleans at all for anything. So, but I'll just give you a thing of what it sounds like real quick, even though it's not going to be great. So yeah, the clean tone's there. It's okay. It's usable. If you want it, it's there. I'm probably never going to use it. Sounds alright. Does the job. You know, I don't think it's pristine, fendery, whatever clean that people like, but yeah, no, it's usable. You know, it'll be a good pedal platform. The clean channel. So because it does have a little bit of that like shimmeriness or like sparkliness or whatever term people use for clean channels. I don't know, but no, it's pretty cool. But yeah, we're back on the gain channel. Everything's as it was. But yeah, I'd say we got it dialed in pretty much. I mean, we've been streaming for a little while, so if you missed the start, you would have missed me kind of playing with the knobs a little bit more. But where we're at now, it's super dialed in. It sounds sick, and yeah. So that's where we're at with that, and I'll just riff it a little more. And I'm just improvising. I'm not playing anything. I'm just making stuff up like I would. And so because I'm improvising, I'm gonna name my riffs. So this riff is called High Mark. Going on, Punkstar. It's not mic'd up. It's being like DI'd through Torpedo Wall of Sound with IRs, and then you guys are getting the direct audio. So yeah, sick sounding amp. I recommend it if you're after that. If it's your kind of thing and you're after it. But like I said, you know, it's a gamble. It's a gamble whether it shows up not broken or not. I know Jared from Tone Wars got a mess on. I think the tube was like a Messer clone by Crab, I should say. But I think one of the tubes or something was popped out, but the amp I don't think was damaged like the way mine was. But yeah, like I said, had it repaired. It's probably the guy that fixes my amps and does good mods on my guitars and all that stuff. He fixed it up real good. Fixed up some wiring and some bodgy solder joints and stuff inside. So I think the fact that it showed up busted and I never got to play it as it was, and then having him fix it and actually go in there and fix some soldering and some stuff, I think it plays better now than it would have had I not had him look at it, if it had showed up fine. So obviously, you know, stronger solder joints and better wiring will always, you know, give you some longevity out of your amp. I don't know if that affects the sound of the amp or not, but I can rest assured knowing that it's been taken care of properly by a professional. New tubes, everything full serviced and whatever. So yeah, I think it's pretty dope. So we'll go back to having a little riff. It's dialed in. I'm happy with it. I don't think we need to really mess around with it anymore. Like this sound I'm getting out of it now is a ripper. So yeah, it's bloody awesome. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Punkstar. It's a so it's a custom amp. But it's a Randall Satan clone. So it's he built it off the Satan 50 schematic, and then I asked him to build it. You just message him on Instagram or Facebook. You can order it that way. On the back of the amp, he actually put my band's logo. He like silk screened our logo onto the back, so that's pretty cool. So my band has two logos. Like one's like our name logo, and then one's like an icon that my partner made. So I had him put the logo that my partner made on the back of the amp, sort of where you plug the power and the you cabin that in. So yeah, but what you guys are hearing is a direct tone into Torpedo Wall of Sound. So it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. It come out really good, and I'm quite happy with it. And yeah, it riffs hard, and like my band plays really, really low. We're like a kind of sludge metalcore, whatever. So we play an octave drop D. So if you have like drop F, which is super low, like Meshuggah, we go from F to E and then E to D. So we're like, what this guitar is in D standard, we're one full octave below that. And we use 30-inch baritone guitars in our band. So, but anyway, let's hear some more Toneski. Alrighty. So yeah, the amp's pretty well dialed in. I got it where I want it. I'm happy with it. Yeah, Demon FX is good for clones, and so is Pepper's Pedals from New Zealand. That dude makes some really good stuff. But yeah, I've been in here for about an hour and a half. So what do you say we get Uncle Shane to have a go on the Satan? Come on. Oh, he's ready for a nap. We'll get him a quick riff on the Satan, and then we'll probably call it. But yeah, we'll. It's a good amp. It's a sick amp. I'm digging it. I'm quite happy with it. Just the size, the weight, the power, everything. I do recommend them. They're a good amp. They sound great. And yeah, just before Uncle Shano comes in, I'll just have another quick riff, and then I'll hand the guitar over to him.
I just think that is it. You just turn them. They
Yeah.
could probably be turned around.
Yeah.
That probably because they're probably single. Wonder if they're like all together. They're probably single switches.
Yeah, no, I think they're single switches, but yeah, he I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I think unless it was just it had to be that way to make it work. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it but he might have just had a standard print front plate and he just
for
prints
sure.
a bunch of them and.
You probably could have it so it's like you push it down. So that
Yeah,
would
I
be
could
on.
get it rewired. Maybe when I replace the tubes, I'll
You'd
do
probably
that.
just turn them around. That's all it is. Like I'd say, just be in there, like clipped in there, and you just turn them
Oh,
around
just
the
turn
other
the
way.
little box around.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I could do that too.
I think that's all it would be. But
I mean, it doesn't bother me. So.
yeah, once you know anyway, it's all right. Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I could probably do a demo with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's content for the channel too. Because it's like no one else is gonna. Not many people are gonna have the. I mean, people are getting crabs, but they're getting like Friedman and Messer. Like, and not a lot of people going for the Satan. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They've definitely got a. They're very like a woolly.
Yeah, they've
sort
got like
of-
an abrasive sound by design.
It is like I would say like it is very similar to the plug-in.
Yeah.
Like the
Natus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got.
I
that-
have the Natus because.
And when you do that, it's like a little clicky sound. It's like a weird little thing.
Yeah, it's
they
like this
do.
upper treble frequency.
Yeah, it's a
that,
weird
like,
little clicky thing.
But
it
you'll
does.
find like pretty much all Thornton stuff has that.
And it's like, where's your? That's your main level there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll try now in the room. V30.
Switch to room volume.
Yeah. And then you adjust it. Now adjust it completely different.
Yeah.
And that's really bright. Right. Might even need this.
With that tone knob,
Oh, do you know what, too? My EQ's been down the whole time.
the tone knob next to the clean also impacts the gain.
This one?
Yeah.
That's crazy, but it's the clean channel.
It's an overall tone.
Turns it down, it's weird.
See the switch? It might fill out the sound more if you put the switch on the bottom.
That's like one of my favourite riffs now, though. It's a finger burner.
That's that one.
No. It's like that slam shot. Ready? Plug ears.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Some in the room sound.
Yeah, sounds sick.
So we all adjust them a bit differently.
Obviously, it sounds way better through a cab than the IRs.
Yeah.
The IRs sound cleaner, but the cab sounds fuller. if
Well,
that makes sense.
it's good for the stream.
Yeah, yeah.
So Hughesy sacrificed his V30 full 4x12 pleasure for the stream. So
It's for the cause.
everyone can thank Hughesy for bringing the Satan around and standing up for an hour and a half, playing through IRs. So
Yeah.
appreciate that, brother.
No, you're right, man. I'll leave it here. You can borrow it, play around with it, do more streams or videos with it if you want, and I'll
Yeah, it's
come
got
get
a
it in like
sick
a week.
sound. Definitely like.
You gotta, It's one of those amps. You gotta work hard to dial it in, but once you hit that sweet spot, man, fuck, it
And you've
sounds
got
so good.
your own. So everyone's got their own sort of way.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, like I like a thicker, darker kind of sound.
Yeah, I like
It's
a
just
little
for good
bit
chugging.
more mid, so like everything's got that more.
So it cuts through.
Little bit of chug, but I want some tightness. More just for that.
Get that note definition.
That's a pretty sick riff, that one. You gotta love
Pretty
that
good for
sort of
someone that
stuff.
can't play guitar.
Yeah, I go alright, have a go, you know. Trying, you know, we're here trying to.
It's about having fun.
Hughesy-
Mark!
Hughesy's given me some lessons, so hopefully one day I'll get better, and I can get up to his level
Oh yeah.
or Mark's level, maybe. That's a pretty high mountain to climb, but
Yeah.
we
I
can.
could never play like him, the guy that's never posted a video in his life.
We can always hope, but you know, maybe one day. But I heard he's going to release an album finally to show everyone how it's done, but that's all right. But no, I appreciate that.
Subscribe to my channel, it's called Grind Up Over.
Yeah, and this is my imaginary friend. See, he might be here, he might not be here.
Yeah, the EMG and the MLs are 85 in the bridge. It's sick.
85.
Just
This thing looks so sick on a live stream.
yeah, it
just on
does.
video.
It's a good guitar. It fucking stands out heaps. It's mad.
Just pops.
Hell yeah.
Glad to have this one home.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels better than your other Dean.
Yeah.
I think it's.
And it's funny because I messed this one up a bit. I sawed the freaking nut
Yeah, I
off,
remember. Yeah.
It's got. You can see the putty
Oh yeah.
right there.
That's not that noticeable though.
It's a little. I only need a little bit of putty.
Yeah, it's a smidge.
So it's all right. Yeah, you can't go wrong with EMGs, but.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna put an 8160 back into my gym route. That's what I swapped for out of my
We
Dean.
go like that.
Yeah.
It's back to the fucking off.
That's back to standby, yeah. And then you can just switch it off after a couple of minutes when it cools down. And yeah, so not too bad. Pretty sick amp, good. I think it's a good value for money amp, but it's just obviously it's coming from, you know, the Ukraine and they're in a war, and it's it's a bit of a gamble when shipping anything from overseas, especially down to Australia, because we're like so far away from everyone else.
Yeah, from a bloody war zone.
But no, it's cool for what it is. It's really sick.
It's pretty amazing. They've still got that open.
Yeah. He's up somewhere right at the top near Russia. I can't remember the exact name of his area, but
well,
it was written somewhere. I read it.
That's probably even worse, being close to Russia.
Yeah, I think the area. I could be wrong, but it's just what I read. But the area, it's got two names. But it's apparently sometimes it's under Russia's control, sometimes it's not. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, no, we're still lucky they're still letting things out.
Yeah, well, I was lucky because, like I said, I ordered it back in November, I think, and then I got it in second week of January.
Yeah, and then had to wait just to now to get
And then, another 3 weeks 3.5 weeks for the replacement tubes, and then another little while for it to get fixed because the repairman had a backlog of work, so unfortunately it sat on the shelf for a little while, but I got it back. It rips. I'm happy with it. I'm keen to try it in a band context. Like, I'm keen to play it with
yeah, well, we've only got
with
a
the
low.
boys
I think it'll fire up for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm getting my Randall cab, like the other one that I got.
Yeah.
It's got 4 eminent swamp things in it, but what I'm going to do is take 2 of them out and put 2 Celestian redbacks in it. So I'm going to have swamp things and redbacks in an X pattern.
Yeah.
And I think this amp with those speakers, because they're big magnet 150 watt speakers, all of them, and they're very sort of mid pushed. So that with this amp will slice through like a live mix.
It would be a good live amp with the amount of, you can hear, like, I turned it all down, the amount of highs and mids it's got.
Yeah.
It would be really good for a downtuned.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm going to boost it with my Fortin 33, so because of how low we tune. So,
but you can hear, because it's like super bright. It can be.
Yeah, it'll cut through the lower you go. It'll stay articulate, which is sick. It won't give you any of that flubbiness.
No, it's amazing value for what it is.
Yeah, no, it's sick. And like, obviously having owned the Satan 120, I can say they're pretty. Obviously, they're not going to be side by side comparison because I had the Satan 120, not the Satan 50. And it's got a different transformer, and that has 6L6 and KT88. This is just like the 50 watt version was just 6L6s.
Yeah.
But in terms of the EQ and the kind of the sound, it's kind of the same. It's more just the little nuances, the headroom, the upper mids. Kind of obviously with the 120 will be different, but it's a good live amp. It's small, it's light, it's powerful, it's got a good sound, and that's kind of all you need, especially if you don't want to go digital these days. Might
be better to take off the bloody the handle off the Gamma, so I can sit nicer.
Yeah, it's up to you. You don't have to. But yeah, we're recording a single next weekend, whenever it is. So I'll probably have to come grab it like
whenever
Thursday.
Whatever.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Because I'm going back to work next week, so
yeah, right.
I'll have to, if I'm going to do something, I'll probably have to do it tomorrow or something. Try to
that's
next
right.
day just to get they're bloody hard to do, like amp demos and film them and try to get some type of, because then what are you going to do? You got to like turn knobs and
you got to
try to capture the tone and
there's not really any way to do it quick either. That's the thing.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
That's what.
But I think it's worth it for the channel because it's like, it's showing off a sound that kind of suits your demographic. And it's something that not a lot of people have, so it's like unique content for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's just just got to figure out how to film it.
Yeah.
How would you do that? It's definitely there's an art form to it.
Yeah.
Good
amp show it off.
Yeah, you'd probably just turn a couple of knobs and.
Can I unplug the camera? Will it stay live if I take the USB out?
No.
Oh, it won't? Alright, let's see. See if we can give them a look at it. Yeah. How much slack do I have on the cable?
Not that much. Because it comes around that way.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's a good shot.
That's about it.
So yeah, that's the amp. So that's you guys never actually saw it properly. So yeah, that's the Satan by Crab. Mind my shoddy camera skills. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yep. So
Alrighty. Well,
I think we're out of here.
yeah. Call it a day.
Well,
We're old. We both need to have a nap. So, catch us later.
Thanks for hanging out. You can you can do the honors
Hell yeah.
and the live stream.
And click
Thanks
off.
for hanging out, fellas.
No.
There we go. Thanks for that.